Welcome to the Film and TV channel. Hope you're all staying safe and well. And today we have a movie. We have a movie that's based on a very famous stage play that goes back to the 1600s. A bit of culture today for you guys. We're going to have a look at the tragedy of Macbeth. Please, the channel's now monetised. If you can watch any of the ads or obviously follow any of the links if you're interested, that'd be great. It helps the channel going forward with the monetisation. Of course, my other channel as well, my football channel on Manchester City. If you can do anything like that for me, that would be absolutely brilliant. Please, thumbs up if you like what you see. I try and inform and entertain. We do a bit of culture, don't we, as the classics, if you like, today. So if you like it, please put that thumbs up and tell your friends. That'd be great. And push that notification button if you want to know when these little reviews are coming out. And this is a review today. Yes, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Yeah, a historical thriller written and directed by Coen. Yeah, on his own, not with his brother this time. And based, of course, on the play Macbeth. Yeah, the Scottish play. We can say that. We're not in the theatre. It's unlucky to say it in the theatre, but we're not in the theatre, are we? So we're okay. By William Shakespeare, of course. It's the first film directed by one of the Coen brothers without the other's involvement. So how did he do? Well, let's have a look who's starring in it. We've got Denzel Washington, of course, as Lord Macbeth, Frances McDormand as Lady Macbeth, Alex Hassel as Ross, Bertie Cavell as Banquo, Corey Hawkins as Macduff, Harry Melling as Malcolm, Duncan's oldest son, Catherine Hunter as the Witches and the Old Man, and Brendan Gleeson as King Duncan, of course. This is currently streaming. If you want to stream it, this is a theatrical release. I think it's on some cinemas here in the UK as I'm recording this on January the 27th. Streaming on Apple TV Plus as well from January the 14th, 2022. So check your streaming service wherever you are. All these scores and ratings are as at today's date, as I said, on the 27th of January, 2022, approximately 4 p.m. Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes, an approval rating, very impressive, 93%. That's based on 241 reviews. An average rating, wait for it, 8.2 out of 10. That's not too shabby, is it? 225 fresh and just 16 rotten. So the critics love it. Well, the Rotten Tomatoes critics do anyway. And the consensus reads, led by a stellar Denzel Washington, The Tragedy of Macbeth strips the classic story down to its visual and narrative essentials. Okay, that's if you want it stripping down to its visual narrative essentials, of course. The audience, Rotten Tomatoes audience, again, quite positive. Not quite as positive, but not far behind. 3.9 out of 5, so that's 7.8 out of 10. And the consensus, although The Tragedy of Macbeth may not really add anything new to the long list of Shakespeare adaptations. Okay, we get new actors. That's my thoughts on it. It's visually striking and the cast is terrific. Not quite all of them. Metacritic, yeah, the other critic site we'll look at, a weighted average of 87 out of 100. So again, very high, 87 out of 100 based on 49 critics. 47 were positive, 2 were mixed, and 0 were negative. So a lot of love out there for this one. And it scored anywhere between 60 out of 100 and 100 out of 100. Screen Daily's Stephen Whitty is one of the lower scores, but still give it 70. He said, with stand-up performances by Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand, expert imagery and striking production design, Coen's The Tragedy of Macbeth is hardly a tale told by an idiot, but it could actually use a little more sound and fury. Yeah, I don't disagree. And a better idea of what it's supposed to be signifying. Interesting critique, even though he scored it 7 out of 10. I thought that perhaps would have given it a lower score based on that summation. The Raps, Robert Abel, A-B-E-L-E, Abel, 90 out of 100. There was a few hundreds, but you know me, I've ignored those. If there's a quibble, he said, about with this graphically imagined The Tragedy of Macbeth, it's one common to the movies Coen made with his brother. It's ruthless, intelligent and entertaining, and mightily drinkable as filmmaking, without necessarily raising the emotional temperature past the clinical grim efficiency, often even with the never not human Washington going for it dazzlingly so. Yeah, again, interesting critique. And again, it's sort of a little bit on my wavelength. The Metacritic users, yeah, they're happy. 7 out of 10, so not as high, but still happy. 47 positive, 7 mixed, and just 9 negative, so a few more negatives on them. So over to the Internet Movie Database. Joe Public, the guys who've been to the cinema or watched it on Apple Plus, etc., and posted a score or a review. 11,395 scored it anywhere between 6 and 9. I ignore the 10s, as you know. Well, I didn't in another review I did a couple of days ago, but that was for a significant reason. And 1,405 scored it between 2 and 5. I ignore the 1 out of 10s as well. So that's 85% positivity. So again, very similar to Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. So that's that. Right, as for me, what about me? Well, I'm not a big Shakespeare fan, I'll be honest with you. I don't really like... I sort of... Because I have to sort of try and interpret the flowery words of Old English, it's not my favourite. But some plays I do quite enjoy. I did enjoy, let's say, the lighter stories. I do enjoy Much Ado About Nothing and Midsummer Night's Dream. I did prefer those, but I say I'm not averse to the Scottish play and Hamlet and Richard wherever he is, Richard III or whatever. I'm all, and Henry V, of course. I do like them, but obviously it's not really my cup of tea. And I have seen a few of these Scottish plays, of course, over the years. There's been a few adaptations. I can certainly think of 5 or 6, since certainly over the last 50 years or so. And generally, the response from other people is middling to good. Yeah, there's no real negativity. I did see a negative review about he turned it off because he couldn't understand what they were saying because it was in Old English. Well, it's a Shakespeare adaptation, so unless they're going to totally adapt it into modern English, that's what you get, mate. So, mainly middling to good positivity on this, to be honest with you, and that's my feel watching it. I don't have anything negative particularly to say, but I did have some critiques. I mean, does it add anything to the previous versions I've seen? No. Perhaps those new to Shakespeare, it sort of does break it down into its simple components for me. There's no real bells or whistles. It's a definite stage feel to it, which is not a bad thing. To this production, a great cast, and it's always nice to see how different actors cope with the obviously with dealing with Shakespeare, and obviously in the main they do a pretty good job. The film for me though felt a little weak and does lack a little bit of impact. I think one of the critics said that before, both in the setting of scenes, the scenes themselves, and actors' emotions as well. Frances McDormand was a little bit reined in. I thought she could have done a little bit better with it, although a couple of the later scenes are pretty powerful as the film comes to an end. There's a strange lack of atmosphere. Well, apart from the mist, of course, which appears on a regular basis. There's a lack of grit, a lack of grime that I expect from the early 1600s, to be honest with you, and even allowing for the film in black and white, which I didn't even notice, to be honest with you, which could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. I didn't really notice that till about an hour into the film that it was in black and white. It just lacked a little bit of depth for me, to be honest with you, a little bit of depth and presence, a little bit of grabbing you and really getting your attention. It didn't really have that for me. And let's talk about Mr. Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is Washington, isn't he? He is who he is, and he brings himself to this role, and that's fair enough. That's what he does. That's what he does in any role he works in. Whether that's, again, for me, that's not particularly a good thing, but if you like Denzel Washington, it will be a good thing, but not for me particularly. Not too lengthy, so that's good. It didn't drag on too long, about an hour and 40 minutes. It does what it says on the tin. It's a modern adaptation. It's a new update with different actors. And Mr. Coen and crew have done an okay job modernising it, but nothing fantastic. Nothing more than I've seen over the years. And as I say, as I watch these, I perhaps understand it a little bit more. I get used to the language, etc. But it is just an okay adaptation. I've seen better. I've probably seen worse. But it's okay for what it is. So I am going to give it very watchable. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 because I thought it was well presented, well put together. But there's too many little faults for me to actually go higher than that and give it anything like 7, 8, like some people are doing, up to 9 out of 10, almost 10 out of 10 for some of the critics. But I didn't feel I could give it that sort of high score, but it's okay. Let me know what you think, guys. As I say, if you certainly, like that other guy who said he didn't like that, he turned it off because of the flowery language. I mean, if you don't like Shakespeare, you're not going to like it. There's nothing in this to drag you into Shakespeare if you don't like Shakespeare. It's as simple as that. But as I said, as I watch more Shakespeare, perhaps I get a bit better used to it, and I think that's probably how it should be, because it's not really my favourite genre, to be honest with you, but or the classics, if you like. I do like the classics, as in Charles Dickens, stuff like that. It's a bit lighter, though, isn't it? A bit more modern. This is just a little bit too oldie-worldy for me. even for an old guy like me. So let me know what you think, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good rest day. Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More important, let's all look after each other. To meet here again on the Film and TV channel, I only ask one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.